Hey, what's new to watch this week on the big screen and in streaming? I'm glad you asked. We've got a few to talk about. I think 8 to run down. And welcome to it. This is the Screening Room podcast, and she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from MaddWolf.com. And let's start right at the top with a biopic.
First up on the big screen, a 19-year-old Anthony Bourdain travels to Provincetown and stumbles into the chaotic world of a restaurant kitchen, setting off a summer that will shape the course of his life. Tony.
Now, neither one of us watched Anthony Bourdain's show.
I was just thinking about that after we've seen this movie and thinking about it, because the stuff that he was into is stuff that would appeal to, food and traveling the world and meeting all these new people. It's things that I think are of interest to us.
But we don't know how to cook.
Well, we don't know how to cook.
No.
But we like
food.
Yeah. And I really respect what I know of him. Mm-hmm. I respect. Obviously, it ended tragically, but it sort of surprises me that we didn't know more of him than we did, because he seemed to be into things that we were into.
What I think is interesting is a lot of people who are massive Anthony Bourdain fans are worried that this movie is going to be a little too upbeat and whimsical, and it's not.
No, I don't think it is. I really enjoyed it, and I think it would. I haven't talked to anybody. Obviously, it just came out that was a big fan and how they react to it. But I think it's probably got something for all of us, the people that were big fans, and then people like us who certainly knew of him but didn't quite know, the story or anything. Because I think this is a director and co-writer, Matt Johnson, who did Blackberry, and he did Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie, and some other things. And from what I've read, he wasn't the biggest Anthony Bourdain devotee either.
No.
And I think that might help the movie and help the overall effect of it. Because first of all, it does what a lot of successful biopics do, and that you don't try to tell the whole story of his life. This one is very laser focused from, I guess, just a one part of Kitchen Confidential, his memoir, Anthony Bourdain's memoir. And it just one summer of 1975, when he had found out as a 19-year-old that he was telling everyone and living the life of this, wannabe or a future genius writer. And it's funny because at the very beginning of the movie, some text comes on. It was a quote from Anthony Bourdain saying, looking back and thinking of himself at this age as 19, that he needed just a good ass kicking, and he did.
And he gets a couple
and
of
he got one. Yeah, he got one. And he got some life lessons. And that's what this movie is. And Dominic Sessa is great as the 19-year-old Bourdain, so full of himself and his frantic hair and his brooding stares early on, where he doesn't get this big fellowship to Vassar College that he was banking on and telling everybody, including his family, that he already got, and still proceeded to tell them that he got it when he didn't. The next thing you know, he takes off to Provincetown, Massachusetts, following this girl that he's got a crush on, played by Amelia Jones from Coda, and some other things you may remember her from. And then he gets over there, and he gets an ass kicking, and then he has no money. And so he has to basically earn his keep washing dishes in this restaurant where the chef is Antonio Banderas, and then he gets to sleep in the hammock out back. And so begins his education in working in a restaurant, in life, and in how to stop pretending and really own up to the things that he's passionate about and the course that his life can take.
Right. One of the things I really like about this is that, it's not like a makeover movie, right? Dominic Sessa he plays him as just a dumbass. He's awkward and gawky. There's nothing admirable about him. When he gets drunk on like a couple of cans of beer. It's like there's zero cool about this person. And I really appreciated that, because it's not a film that I think is awestruck. It's a film that actually is invested in Bourdain and who he was, because who he was really was lost, narcissistic, and in need of an ass kicking.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what I meant by maybe Matt Johnson not being, a real worshiper. He doesn't bring the undue reverence that you're talking about.
That I think Bourdain would not have been happy with.
I wouldn't think so.
Right.
Especially when looking back in his own memoir, he thought that way about himself.
Yeah.
But it also, I think in telling his story, which is an interesting one, and I don't know how much they stray from the truth. I really don't, but it's an interesting story. It makes you hungry. There's some good seafood at this restaurant, and Antonio Banderas is perfect in
He's
this
so
role.
good.
I mean, it's one of those. I wouldn't call it Oscar bait because it's not Oscar season yet, but it's one of those roles where you can just see a veteran actor like himself, this mentor role.
And he's just natural.
He's so natural at it.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked at all for him to grab a nomination. But the whole cast is great, and also gets some good support. You've got Leo Woodall, who's having a good year.
Yeah,
just saw him in Tuner.
Yeah. He's great in this.
He is great. He plays just a guy working in the restaurant who's a rogue, just a bad boy, but takes the young Anthony around to teach him the ropes of the local parties and the ladies, and be more sociable, because he's pretty antisocial. I mean, as a young 19-year-old who's full of himself, he's pretty easy to dislike.
Yeah, he is.
And so he learns.
And he hates himself as well, as most narcissists are also very self-loathing.
So you see the eyes start to be opened as to a career in food, service and in restaurants, but also just to becoming a better person. And I think in that way, it's more relatable to anyone, not just Bourdain fans, because you look back, anyone of a certain age looks back on their life and you think of those little moments that maybe set your life. You didn't realize it at the time, but here is what set my life out on the course that I followed. And if this would have happened or this would happen, I wouldn't have done that.
Right.
I would have been somewhere else.
Yep.
And it's funny because I was thinking about one on my own that at the time that I first got my first restaurant job, I basically had another job at the time in a stereo store, and I didn't really like it. And so I quit that job to take this restaurant job. And if I hadn't have done that, shoot, I'd have never met you.
That's right.
I mean, a lot of things, you never know at the time what these choices are going to do for you. And also, it's just another reminder that, as we've said for years, since we spent many years working in a restaurant, everyone should have to do it. Everyone should work in a restaurant at some point, because you learn a lot of things.
Yeah, you do.
Not just on how to work in a restaurant.
But you do
really
learn not to throw water on a grease fire.
You do.
You do. And it's an important lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I loved about this movie is the way it's directed. He lets scenes breathe.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't rush through anything. And there are so many shots that the way the shot is set up is not the way you would expect it to be. He's not in a hurry to get to the point. This is almost fly on the wall. It's got a fly on the wall quality about it. And I was just really impressed by the way he shot it.
Yeah. And also, it's so, I liked and respected that it's so focused. It's so committed to the focus that it gives you a little bit of a tease about a very complicated relationship between Bourdain and his mother.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
try to solve it.
It doesn't try to solve it. It doesn't have time for that. No. All we're worried about here is this 3-month period, this summer of 1975.
Yeah.
And you just get a little bit of taste of, there's something going on there with that relationship. But no, it's just about this one part of the story, as the trailer says there, the poster, before the fame. And in that way, I think it is fascinating. I think it's well done. And it can be appreciated on a lot of different levels. Mm-hmm. Great performances.
Yes.
As you said, interestingly directed and written. The timestamp is well done.
It is.
Yeah. So we liked it.
Yeah.
We definitely liked it. And it makes you
hungry.
Yeah, because once he moves from the dishwashing station and starts getting into the cooking, like, he does have a flair for this, doesn't he? And then he's off on and setting the stage for the life that he became, that he lived. And even though it turned out tragically, it had a lot of legendary moments that people still, as they call him, the God Bourdain. Yeah. You got to earn that title somehow. So it's an interesting look at this person before he became famous, and recommend it. Mm-hmm. And that is Tony, and it's in theaters now.
Next up in theaters, a director making a slasher sequel becomes obsessed with casting the original film's final girl, leading both women into psychological and sexual chaos. Teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma.
I cannot tell you how excited we have been to see this movie.
Yeah, I've been waiting because didn't we think it was going to be out a couple of weeks ago?
I think we did think. I think it had its its New York, Chicago, LA opening 2 weeks ago, and then is finally hitting the rest.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it
so much. Big fans of Jane Schoenbrunn, the filmmaker who did I Saw the TV Glow like 2 years ago. So beautiful.
We're all going to the World's Fair before that.
And this movie has a very similar look about it. It especially as the film progresses, it becomes sort of a watercolor fever dream of pinks and blues, and it's really beautiful. But what Schoenbrunn leaves behind is that sort of lovely melancholy of the first two films, and instead makes something much more upbeat and bloody. As a filmmaker who is played brilliantly by Hannah Einbinder. She's a young queer filmmaker, and she has been tapped to reboot a problematic slasher franchise. And so it's kind of, she's kind of like, does she even want to do this? This is probably going to end her career, and she's certainly not going to pass on it. But one of the reasons that she's attracted to it is because this particular film series played a really pivotal role for her. And so she is absolutely determined that the lead in her reboot is going to be the final girl from the original film, even though that person dropped out of celebrity many years ago and actually is a recluse who bought the sleepaway camp where the original film was made and lives there alone now, which is all very weird and very creepy and very interesting. And it's even more so when it's Gillian Anderson who appears on the screen. Very Gloria Swanson.
Perfect casting.
Oh my God. Except with
perfect.
this thick Southern accent. Yeah. Gosh, she's glorious. She's glorious.
She is.
And so the filmmaker goes there and they spend a few days together smoking pot and eating junk food, just the nastiest of foods that they're eating, and watching slashers and just sort of reveling in, as does the whole film and the filmmaker, every transgressive element that you're sort of supposed to be ashamed of in slasher films. And it's fascinating. It's just, it's almost relentlessly gleeful about embracing and examining everything that is sort of unseemly, not the stabbing and but what's underneath of that, sort of the gender swapping and iconography, and the weapon as a penis, and just everything like that, and the fact that the killer, Little Death, has a double-sided sword, but also a vent, like an air conditioner vent mask, which is very vaginal and doubly phallic. I mean, it's just crazy the way that Schoenbrunn plays with all of this without, at the same time, she's just making a fun film, a slasher film that's super bloody, that just does nothing but carve up people in the funniest of ways. It's fascinating, and it's so nerdy. It's such a horror movie nerds.
It really is.
Movie. They drop Sleepaway Camp trivia. They drop Sleepaway Camp 3 trivia. They, there's a question, the filmmaker is worried that she's gone a little overboard with the personal questions, especially in this Me Too era. and Billy says that she auditioned for The Burning. You know who made that, don't you? That's what she says.
Yeah.
There's just all of these.
Billy is a Gillian Anderson character.
And they're just all of these just asides. They're built very organically into this film because the film is about horror movie nerds. That's who they are.
And Billy's last name is Presley.
Oh,
I mean, just for a good measure.
Yeah.
And if this sounds like it's over the top, I mean, it's not subtle. Don't get me wrong. It's not subtle, but it's wonderfully not subtle.
Yes.
It's weird because usually we err on the side of subtlety.
Oh yeah.
But it's not like it's heavy-handed.
No.
It's just like you said, in a gleeful way. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to drop those names.
Yeah.
And drop those movie titles. And it is so gleeful about it. And the photography is great.
Oh my God.
The way
gorgeous.
the outdoors are, some of it is almost a little Wes Anderson-y.
Yeah.
And the colors are great. And it's so nerdy, but so horny.
Yeah, it is.
Well.
It's just a sexual awakening by way of slasher film, which is the first time I've actually seen that. I mean, slashers have been done to death.
And really, why? Why? Because that seems so
It does.
natural. Because I think this has a lot of things in the movie where it's clearly autobiographical.
Yes.
That a lot of people have had certain awakenings to
Yes.
those type of movies, and it's funny that it's taken this long for a movie to embrace it so heavily. And I think as horny and as bloody and as rated R as it is, I think it's clearly Jane Schoenbrun's most accessible
Oh,
film.
absolutely. Yeah.
Not
Absolutely.
that we didn't like the other two,
Oh,
we
yeah,
did, but
they
this
were
one
beautiful.
just seems more mainstream and something
hard
that
to
I
believe,
know,
but it
it
is.
seems weird, but something that people will really be able to cheer, just to cheer for.
Oh, yeah.
And I can already tell that by some of the, when you put your review up and your video review up, how it's being embraced. I
Good.
mean, there's a lot of people that are really looking forward to, as we
Oh,
were,
yeah. So happy
this
about
film
this one.
for a number of reasons.
Yep.
And I think it's going to get great word of mouth.
Yeah.
And
It's one of those where, we've been so excited about it since we first heard about it. And it's really hard for a film to live up to those kind of expectations. And it just surpassed it because I didn't know what to expect. And I certainly didn't expect this.
Yeah. Yeah. The gleeful, horny nerdery. That's what it is. Yeah.
It is.
And it's fun to watch. But yes, it's a good R.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
For the sex and the violence. But it's just it's fun.
Yeah.
It's
so fun.
and nerdy.
Yeah.
And
happy. It's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gillian Anderson. And if you didn't know, as I didn't, Hannah Einbinder is the daughter of former SNL, well, one of the original SNL players, Lorraine Newman.
Yep.
And if once you know that, you're like, oh yeah, I can
yeah.
see the resemblance there. Can definitely. And I think she's been on a show, right?
The one with Gene Smart.
Okay. Hacks. Okay.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it
Yeah.
because it's a show.
But it's won millions of Emmys. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah, exactly. And so is this movie.
Yes.
So if it doesn't take it long once you learn about it and some of the things that we've been saying here to know if it's up your alley or not. But if it is, enjoy it.
Yep.
Enjoy it. as
We sure did.
And enjoy the split diopters for teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma.
Next, it's a new one from Jason Statham. After his billionaire industrialist boss is murdered in front of him, Cole Reed is set up to take the fall for the crime, leaving him on the run as he works to uncover an international conspiracy. It's Mutiny.
Yes, it's called Mutiny, but to me, it's called Tide Hard.
He's so happy with that.
Haha. Because the fly in the ointment, the monkey in the wrench on the high seas this time is Cole Reed, Jason Statham, of course. Yeah, he's an ex-cop. Of course, he was in the military, got all his talents. But then he had been working as a private bodyguard for this magnate this big industrialist who owns this cargo fleet, this shipping company. But then he's ready to sell it, turn it over, and retire. But then he's murdered. And so Cole Reed has to get to the bottom of this. And next thing you know, he finds himself on one of those cargo ships trying to sniff out what's going on. And then
But it smells a lot like his earlier career.
yeah. And then he hears noises from inside one of these containers on the cargo ship. There's people in there. So then we've got human trafficking going on. And he teams up with the crew's third mate, who is played by Annabelle Wallis. And she was just brought in. She was not one of the original crew. They had a sickness, so had to bring in somebody new. So she's not part of the crew. She's not a badnik. So she and Cole Reed team up to try to bring down this entire crew as well as this whole operation. And they're on the high
unreasonably attractive woman in the crew is somehow being paired with Jason Statham.
Yeah, in a tight white tank top.
Shut up.
What are
Him
the
or her?
odds? What are the odds? No, he keeps his shirt on. He does. He keeps his shirt on this time.
Is there an actor who's done more human trafficking films than Jason Statham? What was his first one? I think it was Transporter 3. And that would have been like 20 plus years ago. I think he's done, 400.
Yeah. To be fair, that's not all that's going on here, but it's certainly part of it. And so, expect the usual Jason Statham. This is the co-writer and director. It's the same team that did Plane, the Gerard Butler vehicle from a couple of years ago. Fine cookie cutter actioner. Same deal here. You're going to have some good sequences. One specifically with Statham and the main bad guy, the captain of the ship, out on one of those planks dangling out into the, fine, good. And a lot of bloodshed. And we
don't get enough plank action.
Yeah, let's do some planks. And a lot of R-rated bloodshed and beatdowns in action. But yeah, it takes more than just the fly in the ointment story beats from Die Hard. But you know,
Who
hey,
hasn't?
exactly. But yes, I was proud of that tied hard. So I had to bring it up. But you know, some of the, or really a lot of the marketing here is basically selling Jason Statham films as their own genre, which might be a little, you know, pretentious, but also you can see it.
Yeah, because they're all the same movie.
Yeah, right. And if you like them, God bless you.
That's right.
And this is for you. It's sort of the same deal that we just got done talking about. If you know this is up your alley,
That's
well,
right.
then it's going to push the buttons and it's going to deliver. I think on the recent Jason Statham film scale, for me, I think it's a step below Shelter, which I liked from a couple of years ago. But a step, was it last year? But a step above something like A Working Man, which was just so generic. This one is right there, and it's going to fit, you know, fill the bill for you Jason Statham fans. And that is called Mutiny. I'm not going to say it.
Next, the latest in
and that
Next,
in
the
theaters
latest
now.
in the Insidious franchise. Gemma, a young mother raising her daughter in the house she grew up in, discovers she can travel into the further, where she possesses an ability to bring what lives there back to the real world. Insidious, Out of the Further.
This franchise has incredible legs. I mean, it is still going on, and there's been a couple of crappy sequels.
There have been some not great ones, actually.
The Red Door,
like 3, 4, and 5 have. I mean, the Red Door was the most recent one, and yeah, it wasn't good.
No.
But the 2 prior to the Red Door,
the Last Key,
the Last Key, and just Insidious 3, they weren't good. They weren't
No.
good. But this, I think, this is middle of the pack. I mean, it's better than the last couple. It definitely is. And Elise Lynn Shay, she's moved on.
Always welcome.
Always welcome. She's moved on to a whole new family, because as soon as one creepy red door closes, another one opens. And this one, it opens on, as you said in the synopsis, a single mom and her daughter. And but that idea, she possesses to bring something back. There's nothing in the further that you want to bring back. If you've seen any Insidious movie, you know, no, I'd like to leave it all there.
It's sort of funny. What number is this now? 7?
No,
6?
1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 1, 2, 3. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6. I think it's
Okay,
6.
6. It's funny that it's taken this long that we've gotten to where we can bring something back, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that is. And I mean, I think one of the reasons why there are legs for this franchise is because, you know, there's a lot of stuff happening in the further. Let's just go. You know what I mean? There's a lot to explore. And this is the idea that something can come back out is interesting and nasty, as you might imagine, because again, nothing in there should come out. And Gemma is a dental hygienist.
Coming out. Thanks.
There is so much nasty mouth whatnot in this movie. So much. It's so gross. And it's not the kind of thing that usually I'm not, you know, I don't have that. I was grossed out. I was, and I watch a lot of these, and I was very much like, whoa, I don't want to see that. It's nasty. And also I think they introduced some fun, interesting new, you know, creepy villains. And because you're back in the further periodically, we get to glimpse some of the villains from the previous installments that we still like. The main villain, why can't I think of the name of the movie that he reminds me of?
Baskin.
Thank you. Yeah, he reminds me.
If you know, you know.
Oh my God, he reminds me of one of the villains from Baskin. One of my favorite villains from Baskin, which is one of my favorite movies. And
but if you haven't seen Baskin, we're not going to spoil it. See Baskin.
Yeah, but only if you really love horror.
Yeah, because it's nasty.
It's nasty.
This is
it's so much nastier than this.
Oh yeah, because Insidious is PG-13.
Yeah,
and Baskin is not.
Oh my God,
Baskin
no.
is nasty.
It's nasty
in the best possible way.
Best. Anyway, I got sidetracked. So I like the villains in this one. I think I think that this movie does a good job of it's almost like the villains are all some sort of perverted vaudeville act. You know, like they all just look like they're wigged in their.
I'm in.
You know? And so. They have that going for it again, which is fun. They have this character. Nothing against the character or the actor, but she tattoos faces on grapefruits. What?
Yeah.
there's zero reason for
Where'd that,
Like,
where'd that come from?
I get she was a tattoo artist in previous, but why are we still doing this with the fruit? It doesn't make any sense. It's very forced and dumb. But on the whole, I would say this is not a great movie, but there are, they're fun jump scares. There are some creepy villains. There's a super gross dental phobic whatnot happening. It's fine. Like I said, middle of the pack. I liked it better than the last two, maybe even better than the last three.
And again, I think have they all been PG-13?
Yes.
So the limitations of PG-13 horror.
But you know what? I would be willing to say more people die in this one. Like more healthy people on this side die than in the previous films.
Okay. But it's not going to get overly nasty like something like Baskin.
No.
So don't worry about that.
Scares.
So middle of the pack for Insidious, what's been a healthy franchise, and I know it has a lot of fans. Yeah. And heck, you go back to the first one.
Oh yeah,
I like the first one
very much.
Very much.
We're very big fans of the first one.
It's been some peaks and some valleys for this franchise. So one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Here with Insidious, out of the further, and that is out in theaters now.
Also in theaters, A Fairy Tale. A modern family relocates to the countryside where the children discover a magical tree with eccentric residents. They're transported to fantastical lands, rekindling their family bond through adventures. The magic Faraway tree.
Simon Barnaby.
Yep. Paddington.
Yep, he wrote Paddington too, which is still in the top 10 all-time greatest family films ever, maybe higher yet. And he's written a couple of other good adaptations of beloved, usually British literature to bring to the screen, and this is another of those. This is an Enid Blyton, part of a series of books that she wrote some decades back. And it's got a great cast, right? It's got Andrew Garfield and Claire Foy first, right at the top. And that's the plus and the minus, because it's one of those films where, it's like family kind of falling apart and the kids have this wild supernatural adventure, fae folk and fairies and magic. And it makes them realize how much they love their family. So it's a pretty templated kind of a story, very very common, especially in British children's books. But the Mary Poppins and the whatnot, right? But the problem here a little bit is that the family is so very talented that you're actually a lot more interested in what they're doing than in what's happening over in the Magic Tree House, which is problematic because that's supposed to be the cool side. Yeah. But it's a good problem to have, right? That you have Claire Foy and Andrew Garfield in your cast, and they're just really compelling. It is pretty. When it gets over into the enchanted forest and everybody who lives there, and it's got a good cast, it's really very pretty. It's hectic, and it just feels like they've crammed a lot of non sequiturs into it. And it doesn't seem like that half of the film is leading you any place. They give you a couple of glimpses at the villain, who is played by, who's your girlfriend? Rose the Hat.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Thank you, Rebecca Ferguson. And she's great. And she has like almost no screen time. And it's such an anticlimax when
That's
you get
a mistake.
when you get to what should be like the, oh no, like, the climax of the side of the film that has all of the whimsy in it, your Willy Wonka side. And then it's really kind of, whatever, like meh. And then in the story, the kids kind of essentially, they forget about their playmates because they're more invested in what's happening at the family. And you're like, yeah, me too. So it's a little bit unfortunate. It's unfortunate that they couldn't, that the director, Ben Gregor, sorry, I was going to say Ben Foster, and that's an actor. Ben Gregor couldn't find, I think, a better balance. He's done primarily television. And I think that this does feel episodic more than it does like a cohesive whole. So it's not that it's terrible. It's just pretty meh, to be honest with you, and sort of a waste of a good family drama.
Yeah. But, most of the kids are back in school now, aren't they? I was going to say, if you want to do a late summer, something with the kids, because it's a fairy tale, right? Mm-hmm. And
wholesome. It is wholesome.
And of course, if you're fans of the book, well, then you'll probably want to see it on the big screen. Also features the voice of Judi Dench.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe one of the girls from Dairy Girls.
Yes.
Too, which I know you love that.
Nicola. Yeah. I think she's more famous from being on Bridgerton.
Okay. Well,
she's like a massive superstar, but Dairy Girls, that's a show we actually made time for because it's about foul-mouthed Irish kids.
So the Magic Faraway Tree is in theaters for the family.
That's right.
Let's go to Shudder next, echoing the Canadian comedy classic SCTV, cross-cutting between original low-budget TV ads to tell the sinister tale of two restaurants battling it out in the fictional town of Westridge County. It's Buffet Infinity.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Once you put your review out for the written review and then the video review, at least one person commented it sounded like a short film called Too Many Cooks.
Oh.
Too Many Cooks, a short film, I think, only that did something very similar. But it's a crazy idea when you think about it. And if we're just going to tell you about it, you're going to think, well, that's not going to work. How's that going to work?
Yeah, which is exactly the experience that we had watching it, because it opens and it's just like click, 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 and you're clicking around. It's like 1990s early morning TV, and it's just all of these regional ads, and you're clicking, and there's a used car salesman who's dressed like a superhero, and he's beating up the guy who wants to charge you too much interest, and then there's a pawn shop. And then of course there's there's a lawyer. It's just all of these bad. And then you realize you're 10 minutes in, you're like, is this all it's going to be?
This is it.
All it's going to be.
But
the execution is pretty impressive, because little by little, as these ads change and shape, you get the sense, because there's also just like, you're just clicking past. There's a quick news bulletin that you're not going to actually watch. You're just going to click to the next thing. And what you get is that there's a sinkhole behind the mall. And there's also a new restaurant at the mall called Buffet Infinity, where you can get anything you want to eat, anything. And it's almost free, and you can eat all day and all night, and it's almost free. And they just keep expanding and expanding, but they can't quite take over is Jenny's, her sandwich shop. Jenny's got the sauce. And so then they just keep the new Buffet Infinity ads are all about how they also have a secret sauce, and that Jenny isn't even really Italian. And then there's a missing persons. What? It's so funny. It's so clever. And that the pawn shop guys are the best. They just do these terrible raps about what you can get at the pawn shop. Oh my God, they're terrible. And they're just hilarious. And it's so fascinating, almost hypnotic in the way that it tells its story. I really thought, like 10 minutes in, I thought there's zero chance we're going to make it through this movie.
You're not the only one. You are not the only one. I mean, a good friend of ours commented on your review that said, I'm going to try it. I'm not going to say that I'm going to finish it. Like, understood.
Yeah.
Totally understood.
Yeah. I do remember a sense of panic. Like, please don't tell me that we're never going to get to a narrative. And yet, and then I'm like, oh, I've been watching for 40 minutes. I must like this movie. And I do. I was impressed by it. I thought it was very funny. I thought the timestamp was great. And it was really clever, and it told a cohesive horror story.
But it is only 90 minutes.
Yep.
So don't worry about that.
No.
It's going to take you a little bit to get into it, because yes, that's what it is. But hang with it.
Do it.
Hang with it if you can.
Yeah.
Because it's fascinating.
It's impressive.
It really is how it's put together.
Yeah.
How they came up with this idea to do it, and
the
then
editing.
Yeah, the editing. Even if you had the idea, like, wow, how are we going to pull that off?
And the writing is great because each one of these ads has its own voice. Has its own approach, and
and it would have to feel real.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not think that I would enjoy Buffet Infinity, but I very much did.
Give it a chance. Give it a chance on Shudder. If you have Shudder, what do you got
free.
to lose? Give it a chance.
That's right.
Hang with it. Buffet Infinity.
And on VOD, when a hospice nurse finds herself trapped with a dementia patient, she begins to suspect something else is wrong with the woman, something otherworldly, and must fight to survive the night. It's Bury the Devil.
Okay, some creepy coming out of the mouth there. That's that's kind of a theme this week.
It's a kind of a theme this week. It's funny because we just showed we have a Fright Club Live, a live event for our other podcast, and we showed the movie The Dark and the Wicked, which is great, but also has a hospice nurse. And it just made me realize between that and this, I started to think through how many times a nurse, like a live-in nurse, like walks into something that's a lot worse than illness. And boy, this is one. And the director is Adam O'Brien, and it's a single location. you're just inside, and it's gorgeous. And he makes absolutely the most of this single location. It's a really gorgeous home, and it's big and sprawling. So there's lots of opportunities to wander around, and the camera, just prowls the house along with the nurse or not along with the nurse. I mean, it's very impressive, the atmosphere that is that Adam O'Brien creates with this movie. And the woman who's ill, Evelyn, is played by Dawn Ford. And a lot of times in this, you're taking of Deborah Logan, or, that role of the elderly lady who is in hospice is pretty thankless. In fact, in Dark and the Wicked, he never gets out of bed. He's just in bed the whole time. Not so here. Dawn Ford gets a lot of chances to first sort of play on your sympathies, to be sweet, to be kind of a little addled, and then to be darker, and then to be manipulative, and then back. And it's one of those situations where you really never know. Is this, I mean, sometimes, the voice gets a little and that thing comes out of her mouth. But other than that, you're like, I don't know, maybe this is just dementia. It's a really, really impressive performance. And it's a small cast, and everybody is pretty good. I think that they weren't sure where to take it. And then, or because the entire film is told in the present tense, we're dropped in as this nurse starts her shift, and then it ends at the end of her shift. There's very little opportunity for exposition. So there's the holes in the mythology as to what is actually going on, what happened to to Evelyn's daughter, like who were these men outside. The holes in that mythology make the climax not feel like such a much, because we're not given any opportunity to genuinely understand what's driving any of this. So the atmosphere is great, and the performances are great, but the writing needed to figure out how to clue the audience in on the stakes and the backstory without, I admire that they didn't weigh it down with exposition that nobody would have said.
Exactly.
But at the same time,
I think that'd be worse.
Yeah.
That would be worse.
I agree. But at the same, because you're not going to tell the nurse, oh, by the way, this is why, this is why she doesn't have any other loved ones to look after her right now. But at the same time, they had to find a way to clarify the backstory, the mythology, because without it, it just lacks a punch at the end. It leaves it as like, oh, that was a really atmospheric and pretty, not very memorable film.
And that is Bury the Devil, and that's available now on VOD.
And another horror on VOD. In her remote country home, a religious zealot takes a young filmmaker captive, claiming her sadistic rituals will change him into a god. It's Bloodshine.
So this one is filmmakers Emily Bennett and Justin Brooks. They both wrote, they both directed, and Emily Bennett stars as Clara. And it's another obviously low budget indie horror film that does a great job, makes the most of its budget. It's another gorgeous movie. And as it opens, we get a little prologue that sets you up for what the rest of the film is going to be about. And it's Brendan Sexton III. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, how do I know this guy? And he's an out of work itinerant farmer, and his truck breaks down, and he has to go and knock on this farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. And it's Jeff. It's mulleted Jeff from Session 9. Tragedy follows this guy, man.
Wow. Anybody that's seen Session 9, you got, mulleted Jeff.
No, it's mulleted Jeff.
Classic.
Anyway, mulleted Jeff doesn't have a good time, but it sets you up for an interesting film where a filmmaker who's played by David Call is going to also wind up meeting Clara out in the middle of nowhere. And from there, it seems to me that it's sort of a meditation on how filmmaking and filmmakers live on sadism and masochism. That is what the whole film seems to me to be about. Although what it's telling us is a story about a zealot who believes that she's stumbled across her vessel and through some acts of sadism. This is a bloody, bloody movie, and it's a movie where people are. It's a lot of it is self-inflicted. And I know that is a trigger for a lot of people. So you should probably know that going in. There's a lot of blood in this movie, particularly since there are really only essentially two people in 3/4 of the film. They bleed a lot. But I was really impressed by it. I thought that it was smart. I thought that it was really well directed. It looked great. and the performances are really solid. So I was excited. I've not seen this pair's previous films, but I look forward to whatever it is they do next.
And also in the cast, Larry Fessenden.
That's right.
And Toby Poser.
That's right. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't say so.
Yeah.
So Toby Poser, she doesn't have a very big role, but always, you're like, oh, that's not. It's like it was like when Christopher Lee showed up in the first Lord of the Rings movies, and everybody was excited to go see this character, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's Christopher Lee. No, don't go there. That's the vibe you get when it's Toby Poser. You're like, oh, she's not going to be a good neighbor. It's great. She's wonderful, as she always is. And Fessenden is, of course, he's very, very Larry Fessenden. He was great.
Yeah. Always glad to see
in
both
a fairly
of those.
limited role as well, but yeah, super happy to see both of them.
Yeah, but if you want to take it as a metaphor for
for filmmaking,
and hey, do you want to read my screenplay? Then it has that added layer as well. But that's Bloodshine, and that's on VOD.
It is.
All right. Looking ahead to next week. Whoo, man, it's going to be a busy week.
I know. Well, the end of August, beginning of September.
Yep. Thankfully, we've already seen a couple of these.
Yeah.
Including Coyote v. Acme.
Yeah. We've been waiting 3 years for that one.
Looney.
And the Dog Stars.
That is Ridley Scott. So yeah. I'm interested.
Exactly.
It ends.
Mm-hmm. Buddy, which is, I believe, about a unicorn that kills people.
Okay. Idiot.
Yeah. The Colony.
The Whisper Man.
Borman and the Devil, which we've also
just saw that
seen.
one. Yeah. That's about the making of The Heretic, Exorcist 2. Yeah. Penny Lane is Dead.
Just watched that, actually. That one's bloody as well. Snare.
Cliffhanger.
And The Deb.
Okay, that's a full slate.
That's a lot.
But what do you think about this week? A lot to talk about, obviously, with Tony, teenage sex and death at Camp Miasma. Just those two. There's a lot to chew on. But
you know what? Maybe we've misranked the Insidious films. What do you think about that?
Or the Jason Statham catalog of the last few years. Let's talk about it. We love that. Always love to keep the conversation going. You can find us easily on the socials at MaddWolf Columbus. And you mentioned our other podcast that is called Fright Club.
Yes, it is.
And you can find out a new episode just dropped, and you can find that on all the normal outlets, and also the Fright Club podcast Facebook group. And plus, Fright Club has a lot of its own social accounts too. What we're saying is there's a lot of ways to keep in touch.
We are saying that.
Talk about movies. And,
so do it.
And specifically horror movies over here.
Yeah.
Which we always love to do. So keep in touch. Have a great week. We'll be back next week and probably hopefully check back in with the Schlocketeer for some studio news and notes. I know there's been a lot happening lately, so we'll see about that next week. But until then, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.